Take two today, guys. I think I'm the only one that says how many takes it takes. I've had 5. That's my record. Although that was my biggest video, so go figure. Today's date, 12/13/2010, 1402 for gold, 29.71 for silver. I like the fact that silver just keeps bouncing right back, you know, every time it gets pulled down. It's awesome. So I'm going to kind of rattle through this stuff kind of quick, and we'll move on. You know, when you look at all the entitlements that we have to pay as a government, you know, it's a recipe for inflation, right? It's a recipe for Bernanke to get out his magic wand and start printing cash, right? And I've had a lot of debates with older people, older than myself, let's just put it to you that way. You know, and what I've noticed is that most people do not understand what entitlements are. They think it's everybody but them. It kind of cracks me up. My dad is on a form of I believe it's called SSI. So I'm gonna say it's a, you know, it's another, you know, a rose by any other name is still a rose, right? So in other words, it's still, you know, what I try to get across to him is the fact that he's been on that SSI or whatever it's called, SSA or SSI. Don't quote me on it. I'm not trying to beat anybody up for being on it, because if we weren't on that when I was growing up, we'd have starved to death most likely. I wasn't old enough to work yet. So, but the bottom line is this, that, you know, when I talk to him about it, he thinks it's everyone else but him. And I told him, I said, you know, yeah, you paid into that. I know that. I mean, he had to take like special, he had to have special paperwork to I guess, purchase this type of insurance from the government. But, and maybe some of you guys can correct me on exactly what it is, because he's getting older and he's hard of hearing. So, you know, mostly we argue and tell each other good night, which, whatever. But the bottom line is, I told him, I said, look, you probably burned through your benefits in the first couple of years. Now, you've been on this stuff as long as I've been alive. You've been on it for like about 43 years that I can remember. And, you know, he's probably burned up his benefits in the first 5 years at least. You know, if you add in all the bureaucracy that goes along with it, right? Getting him a check mailed to his house every month. And I know he doesn't really want to hear that. And I can hear it in his voice. It does bother him, right? Well, the bottom line is, you know, if the money's gone, the money's gone. Now, it's not, you know, it's not my father's fault that the government is so inept at bookkeeping and being, you know, they don't operate on a profit loss motivation like the rest of the world, right? Or like the rest of us do. They, you know, they spend $800 for a toilet seat. That's another story. Anyway, if you don't understand what entitlements are, just, you know, Google it and check it out. Read up. We still live in an artificial economy. You know, our government does not have the political will to pull the trigger, you know, to rein in what the Fed's doing and whatnot. And I believe it's, you know, the larger players. I believe, you know, there's probably a half dozen people that run the freaking planet. And, you know, the rest of us are just the slaves that produce the labor, that produce the wealth that they steal. You know, that's pretty much how I feel about all that. They don't have the will to do the right thing. Whatever the case may be, you know, it cracks me up when people say Republican, you know, Republican or Democrat. I call them Republicrats. I don't trust any of them, to be honest with you, outside of maybe Ron Paul and just a few others and his son and whatnot. But I got to be honest with you, I really, really don't trust them. And I think, you know, we're all living the dream of them running us around like, you know, chickens with our heads cut off. You know, I make more money now than I thought I would ever need, you know, and it's not enough. Pretty incredible. Peter Schiff was asked how long does he think that the dollar is going to survive as the world reserve currency. And, you know, he's usually a little bit long-winded, which I like, because it gives me a chance to grasp what he's talking about. But basically boiled down is, he said, you know, he'd be really surprised if the dollar was still the world's reserve currency in the next 5 years. And I think that's, you know, I think that's being generous. I mean, I got to be honest with you, man. I mean, you know, I could be wrong. You know, as I learn all this stuff, it's kind of wild that the world has made it this far, man. As messed up as things have been for as long as they've been messed up, I really, you know, I don't know, I guess it's God, you know, he's like making sure things still chug along for those of us who are not thieves and who are not raping and pillaging, you know, its people, I guess. I mean, I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty surprised that it's, you know, that the world keeps spinning and, you know, we're not all flying off of it at this point. The price of precious metals is a direct result of people figuring out that their dollars are losing massive amounts of value. So, you know, that leads me into my next statement. Okay, so they're waking up to the fact that their dollars are losing massive amounts of value. Listen to what Bernanke says in February. Bernanke says that he is making funds available to banks in case there's a bank run. Now, let's figure this out for a second. If there's a bank run and there's a bank holiday and you're not allowed to get your cash, those of us who are lucky to have cash outside of whatever bank at that time is having a holiday, where do you think we're going to put those dollars? Are we going to put them in another bank? Well, the ones of us that don't pay attention are, but there's a lot of us that are going to crowd into precious metals. And I like the way Mike Maloney says, you know, you have all these dollars, this blizzard of dollars that's out on, that's, you know, in the hemisphere of our, you know, our jet stream, right? The dollars are just spinning around our planet. And every so often they land on these two precious metals, gold and silver. And those of us that are holding those are going to have at least a hedge against what's going on. As I find out more, I realize it's not, you know, a magic wand. I'm still going to have to fight tooth and nail for everything I get. That's okay. I guess that's, you know, we're all fighters and we have to keep going. Okay, guys, let's get into our joke of the day. A man walking along the countryside comes across a shepherd with a huge flock of sheep. He tells the shepherd, "I'll bet you $100 against just one of your sheep that I can tell you exactly how many sheep you have." The shepherd thinks for a moment and realizes that his flock is fairly large. He says, "I'll take that bet." The man replies, 973 sheep. The shepherd is astonished because that is exactly right. Okay, says the shepherd, "I am a man of my word. Take your animal." The man picks one up and begins to walk away. "Wait," says the shepherd. "Let me at least have a chance to get even. Double or nothing, I can guess your exact occupation." The man thinks for a moment and says, "I'll take that bet." He goes, "Okay, you're an economist for a government think tank," says the shepherd. "Amazing," responds the man. "You are exactly right. But tell me, how did you deduce this?" "Well," says the shepherd, "put down my dog and I will tell you." Morgan SLV out.